What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. UFC 297 is just around the corner. It takes place this weekend. The main event, Strickland vs Dricus du Plessis, is one of the most anticipated fights of the year, and I'm going to be going through the entire card, starting with the first prelim, ending with the main event, and giving my prediction and breakdown with my well thought out and well researched notes that I've got here with my PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to be telling you who's going to win every fight and how they're going to win it. So let's start off with the first prelim, and we've got Jimmy Flick versus Malcolm Gordon. No one cares about this fight. This is terrible. This is awful. This is the battle of the worst flyweights on the roster. I can't stress enough how terrible both of these individuals are. Like, they are terrible. They've beaten no one good. This fight is so hard to predict because you look at both of their records to see who's got a better opponent that they've beat. And just neither of them have beat any good opponents. So, Jimmy Flick beat Cody Jourdain, who's okay, but he was losing that fight. He got a flying triangle out of nowhere, but apart from that, then he just dipped for 2 years. And since then, he's looked like complete shit. He got TKO'd twice by Jose Johnson and Alessandro Costa. Malcolm Gordon, on the other hand, coming off 2 losses, he got dominated by Makai. Well, not dominated, but he lost to Makai by submission. And then he got TKO'd with a body shot from Jake Hadley. So both of these two are no resistance to taking punishment at all. It's basically whoever just walks forward and tries to punch the other one in the face is probably going to win, because the other one will just quit. So I'm picking Malcolm Gordon to win this fight. There's really not a lot of logic, but Gordon had some success against Makai in the grappling, so I think he can stay out of danger against Flick. He's always constantly moving. He's a lot quicker. He's a lot faster in all the positions, so I don't see Flick taking him down and holding him there, because Flick's only real submission in the UFC of note has been against Jourdain, and that wasn't from he took him down and subbed him from top. That was he just jumped into a flying triangle, which is cool, and he could do that to Malcolm Gordon, but I doubt it happens. I think Gordon is going to be too quick, overwhelming with some pressure, get a TKO. So second round TKO for Malcolm Gordon is my official prediction. The next fight on the card, Jasudavicius versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Again, no one cares about this fight. It's women's MMA. We don't care. Cachoeira got dominated by Maverick. Maverick got dominated by Jasudavicius. Jasudavicius will dominate Cachoeira. That is my MMA math logic at play here. Official prediction, Jasudavicius by 30-27 decision. She'll out-grapple her. No one cares, though. This is dead. This should be the first fight on the card. Don't make us, come on, what are we doing here? Just put all the women's fights at the start so we can just give people time to get to the arena, and then, then we get the good fights going. But the next fight on the card, Johan Lainesse versus Sam Patterson. We got the anorexic Brit versus the junkie Canadian. Johan Lainesse looks like he's been smoking Fent for the past 3 weeks, and Sam Patterson looks like the guy who tells people to stop bullying him in school and gets his head stuffed into lockers. That's what Sam Patterson looks like. He's skinny as fuck. He's got no chin. What happened? He got chinned by a tunnel digger. He lost to fucking Yanel Ashmas the Jew. So he's gonna lose this fight. He's gonna get KO'd. Johan Lainesse isn't good, but at least he's got some power and he's got a bit more resistance to taking a shot. I don't see Sam Patterson bullying him in the grappling either. So Johan Lainesse should get this fight done pretty comfortably by KO. It's a pretty close fight. Technique-wise, Patterson ain't bad, but I just don't see him having success in the grappling. I don't see him having success on the feet. He'll get chinned. So he's going to try and use his range, but he's just going to get cracked and he's going to die. So official prediction, Johan Lainesse by round 1 TKO with an overhand right and then ground and pound is my prediction. But the next fight on the card, Jillian Robertson versus Viana. Again, no one cares. What's with these unranked women's MMA fights? Come on. Viana is a part-time fighter, full-time's OnlyFans model, so I'm obviously going to have to pick the less attractive female in this matchup. That's how women's MMA works. You look at the two of them. If one of them is considerably hotter than the other one, then they're not good at fighting, because hot chicks are never good at fighting, let's be real. But yeah, Jillian Robertson's actually got some pretty good grappling. Actually, she's not that good. She's not good, but Viana did shit in her last fight, got dominated in the grappling, so I'm picking Robertson to win. Round 2 submission. She's still not good, but at least, this is I just looked at Jillian Robertson's face, and she reminds me of if Lauren Murphy had an emo phase and dyed her hair red. is what she reminds me of. Yeah, that's what she looks like. She looks like a crackhead. I think her and Johan Lainesse have been smoking Fent around the corner of the block outside the outside the arena. But we move on to the next fight. Sidey versus Ramon Taveras. I'm not going to act like I really know either of these fighters. They fought on Contender Series, but I know it was an early stoppage. I don't know Sidey won, but I'm picking Ramon Taveras to win here because even though you could say, oh, he caught him once, he's going to catch him again, I don't think so. Taveras looked better in the fight before the knockdown. I watched it literally 5 minutes before I recorded this video, just to confirm my suspicions and just to make my prediction. But yeah, he's faster, he's got power. He won his fight after that because they gave him a second chance because it was early stoppage. And he knocked the guy out brutally. So I think he can catch him pretty well here. He's got a good one too. He's pretty crisp on the feet. He was landing nice shots, and I reckon he can keep that up without getting kind of dropped off balance, which is what happened. And if you looked at it, the stoppage, he was completely fine. He had his hands up in front of his face. He was trying to get his legs involved and create space, and the ref just stopped it because the guy threw a few ground and pound shots, and none of them even landed on to the face. Like, they all were hitting the guard. So, official prediction, I think he's going to find his punches better, and he's going to put Sidey down, and he's more hungry to win this fight, I reckon, because Sidey's already won this. He's like, oh, I got to just prove it again. But Ramon Taveras is like, no, fuck you, I got robbed. I should have, I was winning that fight. It was an early stoppage. I'm going to beat you properly now. So I'm going with Ramon Taveras by round 2 TKO with a right hand and then ground strikes. Similar to how Sidey did him in the first fight, but it's going to take a bit longer. There's going to be a bit more feeling out. He was winning comfortably on the feet. Like, he looked great. His counters were quick. He looked pretty sharp and snappy. And then his guy got caught off balance, and the ref stopped it. But whatever. Anyway, the next fight is Charles Jourdain versus Sean Woodson. We've got the Sparta Kick Man versus the lanky alien. Sean Woodson, the absolute weirdest build and the weirdest physique of all time. This man has a 78-inch reach advantage at featherweight. He looks like a spastic. His hands are down by his knees when he's standing upright. This guy's so oddly built. But Woodson, he ain't beat anyone good. I'm picking Charles Jourdain. Woodson's beat no one good. He got dropped against Saldana multiple times, and then he only really survived. I think he could have got finished, but Saldana was retarded and tried to knee him on the ground when he was down. So it ended up being a draw. So if that point hadn't been taken away, Saldana wins. But he's got no good wins. Who's he beat? Dennis Bazooka? Come on, what are we doing here? He hasn't beat anyone good. Jourdain has losses, but they're also pretty good fighters. Like, he's lost to Nathaniel Wood, those kind of guys. Like, they both lost to Julian and Rosa. That's a common opponent that they have, but it is what it is. Jourdain's better. He's a bit more physically dominating. I think he can work the grappling too. Pressure with the striking. He's got more power on the feet. Sean Woodson, he's got some crisp boxing when he gets his hands going, but I think he's got a 9-inch reach advantage against, like, everyone he fights, but he just doesn't know how to fight behind a jab. Like, he's so weird. He does not know how to use his reach properly. He always gets cracked a few times, and for a guy with a 9-inch reach advantage at featherweight, or a 78-inch reach, how are you not just being an Adesanya decision range merchant? Like, cool if you want to put some output together, but, like, this guy's fight's the worst way for his build, so he's going to lose this fight. He's going to get subbed, and it's going to happen in the second round by guillotine. That's my official call. The next fight on the card, Brad Katona versus Garrett Armfield. Katona might have the weirdest voice in the UFC. He's a little dwarf. He's like Irish, and then I think he moved to Canada. So he's got this weird voice. He sounds like a dwarf. He is a dwarf. He's like 5'4". But yeah, Armfield's coming off a TKO win against a Jap who's not very good. Basically did it like the US government in the 40s and just dropped that fucking Hiroshima on those cunts. Like, absolute ruins Kazama. But yeah, Kazama's not good at all. There's basically no good Japanese fighters in the UFC apart from, like, Tatsuro Taira and, like, Rinyu Nakamura. So he fought the Jap that already lost to the better Jap. Like, what are we doing here? So Katona's cardio and ability to take over late should be key. He's actually a pretty good fighter. He puts punches together well. He's got good boxing combinations. Yeah, Katona's actually pretty good. He's got the veteran experience too. I think he can definitely figure out ways to just win this fight, even if Armfield is doing better, which I don't think will even happen. But I do think he's going to win. I think this fight takes place mostly on the feet. If you looked at his fight with Gibson, it was 1-1. He was severely outsized in that fight. 1-1, needed to win the third, and then he just put it on him, cracked him badly, and just overwhelmed him. So I got Brad Katona winning this fight. Decision, 30-27, 29-28, 29-28. He's He's going to get this one done. The main card is where we move to now when we've got Arnold Allen versus Movsar Evloev. We got two different types of inbreds here. Arnold Allen is your more typical, the little British bog troll inbred in Ipswich. Just some odd cousin action going on there. Arnold Allen, so Movsar Evloev's the more classical Dagestani inbreeding. Cliff, cave dwellers, goats involved in all of that. Not good stuff, but that's what we've got going on here. Movsar does get better as the fight goes on. He does succeed in the grappling. Allen's definitely got the striking advantage for sure. He's the only guy, apart from Volk, that wasn't fucking 50-43 or KO'd by Holloway. So, I like Arnold Allen's striking. I definitely think he'll have the advantage there with better counters, but he doesn't really hit that hard. So even if Evloev is open on the feet, which he is, I just don't see him really stunning Evloev bad, who seems to have a decent chin. Like, he got cracked by Lopez hard and he was fine. So, I do think on the feet, he's going to be outclassing Evloev for sure, but I don't see him like dropping him bad enough to deter Evloev from his game plan. I want to pick Allen, man, because Evloev looks shit in half of his fights. He goes decision in all of them. He lost to a debuting guy. I know Lopez is good now. We know that. But he doesn't look impressive in any of his fights. He takes down Ige to a decision, looks kind of mid. Like, he doesn't really beat anyone good. But Allen hasn't dealt with a grappler in a while. He's dealing with a lot of strikers, Cater, Holloway, Sadiq Youssef, and even in that fight, he does his cardio doesn't hold up super well, I think, and especially if there's wrestling involved, I think Evloev can drain the gas tank. So I got Evloev winning, even though he doesn't look good in any of his fights, and I want to pick Allen, especially as an underdog, but I'm going with the vibes. I just got the vibe that Evloev's going to win. He's going to lose at some point in his career, because I'm telling you, he's overhyped, he's not that good, but I got a feeling he's going to be just good enough. He's going to level up, have a statement performance here. But he will lose. Like, he would lose to Yair Rodriguez. Actually, maybe not, because he could wrestle. But he would lose to Poirier. He would lose to Holloway. He would lose to Volk, obviously. He'd lose to these guys. Maybe even Ortega. Maybe. But, like, I think he's going to have a level up performance. He's going to look better than we've ever seen. And even though he hasn't really shown, like, who's he beat to say, yeah, this guy definitely beats Allen? No one, but I just got a vibe that it happens. So, 29-28 for Evloev. I'm not going to like this pick because I got a feeling Allen's going to win, but I'm going with the vibes. I don't think Evloev loses just yet. I think he's got a few more fights to go before we see the Dagestani get fucking KO'd, which is what I want to happen. But anyway, we move on. Chris Curtis versus Marc-Andre Barriault is a great fight. I'm going to enjoy this a lot. This is going to be a great scrap. Should be a great boxing fight. And either one of these guys could win by finish, in my opinion. But Curtis has the pure boxing in my eyes. I think he's definitely got the advantage there. Barriault's looked good recently. He won his last fight in Canada against Eric Anders. But even in that fight and before that against, what's his name? Julian Marquez. He just scraps and he's more wild. Like, he's super wild in fights. He just throws punches until one of them goes down. He's been KO'd before. I think he got KO'd by Chidi and Jaquani, I think. So I think, although Curtis does get into brawls and stuff, like he had a scrappy fight with Gastelum, he was losing to a Mavov. Most of the fights where Chris Curtis loses are the ones where he gets like held at range and just frustrated, like against Hermansson, and Mavov was beating him, these kind of guys. They're the ones he loses to. But the guys that'll brawl with him and get in the pocket and have a scrap, there's not a heap of guys that are better at scrapping in the pocket than Chris Curtis. He's got a good style for that. I think he finds the punches quicker than Barriault does, and he catches him on the inside. Gets the body shots going too, hurts him to the body. Rips punches to the head as well, up top. Just in close, like, ba ba ba, just landing those combinations. So, I've got Chris Curtis winning by TKO in the third round. Body and headshots in the clinch, like, just getting real close and just rip up, like, double hook to the body, uppercut, like, those kind of things, and just crumple. Like, Barriault's going to be hurt, he's going to go down, and he's going to just TKO him against the fence, I reckon. But the next fight is Neil Magny versus Mike Malott. We've got the budget Michael Chandler, the man who tries to give a motivational speech every time he's given the microphone, versus the alleged child abuser, Magny, who holds his kids up against the fence for 15 minutes if they do anything bad as a form of punishment. But I'm going to pick Mike Malott here. Magny just got assaulted for 15 minutes, took a whole bunch of damage to the legs, to the body, to the head. And Malott just got a quick finish in Canada, so he's riding all the momentum. He's got the crowd behind him. He's got the youth advantage. He hasn't been beaten up in all of his fights. Magny could do the Magny special. We know the Magny special. We know what it is. It's where you clinch the guy up against the fence and put the fans to sleep, just like he puts his kids to sleep nightly with vicious ground and pound. But he's also very bullyable. Like, you know what I mean? He's not that strong. He's not good on the feet. He doesn't have power. He can kind of, like, if you just pressure him and try and overwhelm him, he just kind of dies. Like, Burns just outmuscled him easily. Shovecott subbed him. He's been subbed before. I see it happening again. I think Mike's going to just bully him, work the grappling, have a strength advantage, overpower the positions in the grappling, bully his way into submissions, and get a round 2 submission with an arm triangle. Just like how Burns got against Magny is what I see happening here. And then he's going to give us a nice post-fight interview where he says, "Go for your dreams and believe in everything. I'm blessed to be here and have the crowd behind me." And everyone's going to be like, "Shut the fuck." The crowd's going to cheer, but everyone at home's going to be like, "Shut up." So, yeah, that's what's going to happen is my official prediction. Mike Malott by submission, and then also bores the crowd to sleep and pisses everyone off with a attempted fucking motivational speech. Like, he's going to try and be Martin Luther King and say, "I have a dream." Like, shut up, you're white. But we move on to the next fight. What am I saying? Mayra Bueno Silva versus Raquel Pennington. The least anticipated title fight in UFC history, ? This might just be the title fight that has literally the least views and numbers and interest ever. We don't have a defending champion, so it's a vacant belt. It's also women's bantamweight. One competitor is someone who's already lost in the title picture, hasn't fought in a year, and I guarantee you about a total of 17 people know who she is. The other one has a big nose, can't speak fluent English, and popped for PEDs in her last fight. Or popped for something in her last fight. Apparently like ADHD meds. Maybe I need to jump on some of those. But, yeah. I got Pennington not winning this fight. I've got Bueno Silva winning this fight. But yeah, she's got the finishing potential. She can catch submissions from everywhere. I think she's just more dangerous in this fight. Raquel Pennington's got some decent hands, but it's women's MMA. Like, realistically, unless you're Nunes or fucking Cyborg, like, you have to be hideously ugly and hideously ugly and lesbian to have power in women's MMA. And Pennington isn't. She's not awful looking. She's not attractive, but she's not super ugly, and she's not generically lesbian enough to have power and to just be knocking people out. Already lost to Nunes. She's had her shot. She's kind of just here. She won a year ago. Hasn't fought since. It wasn't even a good decision. Like, I think she lost that fight to Ketlen Vieira. So, I've got Bueno Silva winning this fight. She's going to get a sub. I'm going to call it a ninja choke submission. She's also kind of based. Bueno Silva literally said in an interview, "No one cares about this fight. Like, literally no one gives a fuck about me or my opponent. But I'm going to do my best to put on an entertaining performance and get some interest in my fights going forward." Like, that's based. Being self-aware and being aware of reality is based. So, Bueno Silva, she's going to win. She's actually got somewhat of an interesting personality, I guess. Like, she isn't super generic on the mic. And she's also got beef with Pena too. So, maybe they'll make that fight. And because she was mad shit talking Pena. So, hopefully they make that fight after this and we can get at least, like, just put it as, like, a fight night main event. In, like, not even in Brazil, because they could do prayer. So do it as like a fight night co-main event for the belt in Brazil. That's what you do. Put it under like a top 5 matchup in the men's divisions that's not even for the belt, and put the title fight as the co-main. That's what needs to happen. Bueno Silva, round 2 submission with a ninja choke. I think she's going to, like, Pennington's going to kind of be running in with a punching combination, and she's just going to get her neck wrapped up. I could see it if she takes it down, getting to the ground. I could see her getting a knee bar, an arm bar, a rear naked choke on the ground, those kind of things. But I think she locks someone up standing, similar to how she did against Holly Holm. So that's what's going to happen. But the one we've all been waiting for, Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. The middleweight title fight and the battle for Africa. The real battle for Africa. Forget Adesanya versus Dricus. This is the real battle for Africa. But we're going to find out what is the more effective base for MMA. Is it going to be childhood trauma, or is it going to be pure African genetics? We will find out. January 21st. Buy on pay-per-view. But Dricus du Plessis, he can win this fight, in my opinion, by forcing Sean Strickland on the back foot constantly, crowding him with shots, trying to confuse the defense, which works for only fundamental shots. Well, not only, but like a lot of the time when Sean's having success, he's the one moving forward. He's the one putting out the pressure, and then he avoids the counters. But when Dricus is the one just throwing offense constantly, if he can do that successfully, I could see him having success and overwhelming the defense of Sean Strickland. But he can also try and physically dominate Sean as well. Shoot takedowns on him too, try and create openings, just kind of bully him around a bit. He's definitely, in my opinion, going to be the more dangerous and more capable fighter for the first round. First round or first 2 rounds, I think he's definitely going to have success there and force Sean to defend takedowns, maybe fake some level changes, get some punches going off that. But Strickland, he can win this fight by standing his ground, putting the jab on Dricus, trying to bust his nose up, put on him constantly. He needs to come forward. I think the winner of this fight is going to be the person who comes forward and pressures the most effectively and is able to find their shots. Because we all know Dricus, a lot of his shots don't land. He throws a lot of crazy shit. And we know Sean Strickland has a very good game about making people's shots not land. So I can see that happening here. If he pressures Dricus forward and then makes Dricus counter him, I think he can avoid those shots pretty comfortably. And I think he can have a good night. But if he's the one on the back foot and he's the one trying to struggle with his weird little fucking all over the place defense, I can see Dricus catching him with something unorthodox. But he could also shoot some takedowns too. I wouldn't mind seeing Strickland shoot takedowns. Whittaker took down Du Plessis in the first round. He got back up pretty quickly, but Whittaker shot takedowns. I think there's like a misguided belief that just because Dricus is so much bigger and stronger that he just can't be taken down. Like, Sean can shoot a good double leg and get him down, I think. And I don't see Dricus bullying Strickland in the grappling either. Sean has a very good game of just getting up and not letting himself get controlled on the ground. But yeah, he has to make Dricus miss and counter. He has to make Dricus miss and then counter when he does. He cannot allow Du Plessis to be comfortable just throwing. If Du Plessis is able, if he can just have a game of like, let me just fucking throw output constantly and try and knock this guy out and swing haymakers, and he's not getting countered, he's going to have a great time and he's going to catch Strickland eventually and put him away. But if Sean is just countering him with sharp shots and peppering him up, he's not going to knock out Dricus, I don't think. Like, he could TKO him, but he's not going to put him down, I doubt. I don't see him catching him with the same shot as he did Izzy, because Dricus really ain't that stationary to just sit there and allow that 1-2 to land. Like, he's going to be just constantly moving and shit. You can't settle to throw when you're fighting Dricus du Plessis. But, that's what's going to happen, in my opinion, for Sean to win. He needs to survive the first few rounds and take minimal damage while doing so. As soon as Dricus starts to take the foot off the gas, you got to go 100% forwards pressure and just gas him out as quick as possible. Take over the fight as early as you can. Even if in the first round, that's why you got to be on the constant output, because Sean Strickland will last longer than Dricus du Plessis in a pure cardio fight. Unless Dricus is just dominating the whole time. In a fight, back and forth fight on the feet where they're both throwing a lot, Dricus is missing punches. Strickland's going to go longer. He's going to be able to last longer. He looks in great shape. I've seen him. Obviously, Dricus is in great shape too. I'm sure he's going to go longer than he normally does. But Sean's 100% capacity is going to last longer than Dricus's. Like, he can go at that same pace. He doesn't slow down in fights. Dricus du Plessis, we see him like Darren Till. He almost 10-8'd him in the first round. And then second rounds, he came out and is getting kind of pieced up and tagged up by Darren Till. Obviously, he got the sub in the third. But that's because Till's got no takedown defense and no ACL. So, I can see Sean Strickland, while I don't see him putting him down, Darren Till's never been a guy to have like one-shot KO power either. Like, he's just a kind of snipery kind of guy that just he's clean. I know he's a southpaw, different to Strickland as orthodox, but I can see Strickland doing a similar thing to how Till did in the second round, where Dricus, although he's not going to be gassed or tired, it's like his 100% goes from here to here, like high to low very quickly, but then he's at like 80% for the whole fight. But if you can get him off that 100% where his defense just isn't as his defense isn't good to begin with, but if you can get him to that point where he's got that awkward shots where, you know, we've all seen the clips of him just throwing random overhands when someone's out of range, just throwing weird shots, looking goofy. I know Strickland looks goofy a lot as well, but Darren Till was like kind of landing well on Dricus du Plessis. I know that was before he got the nose job, and since then, his only fight since then was Whittaker, and he looked great in that fight. But even the first round, he was getting outstruck by Whittaker in the first round until he lost the first 4 minutes of that round, and then he got that kind of weird head and arm throw. Just oddly physically overpowered Whittaker, who probably wasn't expecting that much strength coming back his way. But then second round again, Whittaker, it was relatively even, and then he gets dropped. Again, as Sean Strickland said at the press conference, Robert Whittaker's a guy who's got a blitz, and that's about it. But he's a very good technical striker, don't get me wrong, but Whittaker's always been chinny. He always has a habit of just getting kind of dropped and stuff. Like, he got dropped by a jab by Izzy in the first round. In their first fight, when he lost, he got knocked down at the end of the first and then KO'd in the second. Like, he's never taken shots super well, and I hate to say it, but Whittaker sometimes does kind of just wilt a little bit and quit. If everything's just knock on his way and he's like, fuck, this is annoyingly difficult. This guy's just physically bullying me. I know you're going to talk about Romero, but, like, he likes a technical fight, and when Dricus just kind of got in his face and just, like, bullied him physically, took him to the ground, landed some big ground and pounds, and he just felt physically overpowered. He's like, what the fuck? What am I doing here? And then he was trying to get himself back into it, and then he just gets dropped with a jab. I don't see those shots from Dricus landing that are going to... If they do, I can see him dropping Strickland, but I don't see those shots landing and putting Strickland down. I see more, like, overhands and stuff if he can catch him off balance, but I don't see just him landing a jab and just dropping Strickland like that. Strickland does never really get, like... Straight punches don't land clean on this guy. You have to catch him with something awkward where he's got his hand in a weird position from the previous strike. He likes defending like a 1-2. He will defend a 1-2, and then he's not always the best at defending the 3, is something I've noticed. So, I can definitely see if du Plessis extends his combinations beyond what you normally would, throwing a punch in combinations. Like, if he extends it into like a 5-punch combination, I can see Strickland struggling to defend the punches. But, I'm going to say that Sean Strickland, it's super difficult to predict, but I'm going to say Sean Strickland can avoid the knockout shots early and then take over the fight later rounds. Dricus du Plessis, again, he could definitely knock out Sean Strickland in the first or second round. So if 4 days or 5 days time come and UFC 297 has occurred and Strickland has been KO'd in the first by du Plessis, don't come here and say, I told you so, how could you think Strickland would win? Because I'm saying, in my opinion, it's either a first or second round KO or TKO from Dricus but du Plessis where he just catches him, or Sean takes over after that second round's mark and is just going to not piece him up, but he's just going to find his punches way easier. Once Sean Strickland has his range, you can see in the Abbas Magomedov fight, as soon as this guy's able to get his punches going, it's just constant output in your face. So he takes a little bit, he does, like, when you see his fights and he's not throwing as much output, you can be like, oh, well, he's not really overwhelming anyone, but it's like, as soon as he really gets to that range, as soon as he can find his jab, finding his 2, especially the 2 in my opinion, he always finds the jab, he's jabbing you all night long, but when he can find the 2 and extend the combinations and really start to link things together, that's when he just constantly will just walk you down and press you, and as soon as du Plessis has an ounce of hesitation and isn't just punching Strickland in the face at will, I can see him moving backwards a little bit. I know he prides himself on forwards action at all time, but I can see if he does start to gas out, he's going to be like, I can't keep going forward at all time. He's going to try and conserve his energy, but I think his best chance to win is just go balls to the wall for the whole fight and just try and win, and if he doesn't, so be it. But if he does start to get a bit tired and then it gets into the third round and he's not finding his shots well, I can see him being like, oh fuck, let me just take this round to reset. Let me just get my breath back. Don't go 100% this round. I'll just let Strickland get this round. I got to just get my energy back. And then I'm going to go heavy in the fourth. And then I can see Strickland just, once he's found that rhythm, you just can't go forward as easily. He's one of those guys, like, once you lock onto the fucking target, he's just on and he will just keep landing on that target all night long. Like against Izzy is a better defensive striker than Dricus du Plessis, undoubtedly. There's no way you can say otherwise. Du Plessis has a great chin, though, so that's why I'm not going to say Sean Strickland finishes him. I do think he's going to win a decision, but Izzy is a guy who, I know everyone's going to be like, oh, he's lost previous fights, like Pereira caught him or something. It took Pereira till the 5th round in a fight that he was losing 3-1 to catch him and get him with a standing TKO. Sean was the first guy to drop him, so I'm not saying Sean's this massive power puncher. He obviously caught him with a beautiful shot, but I can see him hurting du Plessis, not dropping him, but just kind of stunning him a little bit. And then as soon as du Plessis gets stunned, because I don't think he's really been like rocked in the UFC, and if he can just get stunned by Strickland, and then there's just a flurry of punches coming his way, I can see that being an issue for him. I can see him allowing himself to get pressured back a little bit easier, and as soon as that gas tank is not at 100%, like as soon as he is not able to just implement his perfect game plan and just bully Sean and go forward and just land his big shots. As soon as that's not able to happen, I just see the tide turning completely and Strickland's going to take over with pressure, output, and maybe even like 10-8 him in the later rounds. So, my official prediction, very difficult. I can definitely see Dricus winning 100% first 2 rounds. I think he takes. He's so dangerous early. If this was a 3-rounder in a non-title fight, I'd pick Dricus du Plessis. But 5 rounds, I think Sean takes over late. I'd give him a 48-47 on 2 scorecards and then 48-46 on 1 judge. I think he could maybe get an arguable 10-8 in the 5th, as he's just really putting the pressure on him and having a great moment towards the end of the fight. As he did against Israel Adesanya. So that's what I see happening. Strickland decision, 3 rounds to 2 with maybe a 10-8 in the 5th. But thanks for watching, guys. I know I waffles there on the main event. There was a lot of waffle in the main event. I kind of repeated my same points a lot, but you know what I mean. It's a super intriguing matchup. I kind of want to do an individual long prediction video for that one. I don't know if it'll really get views though. If you guys want to see an in-depth prediction for that one, let me know and I'll talk about it for even longer. Because I did in-depth predictions for Volk versus Makhachev and Usman versus Hamza. Like, I like doing them because it is fun and I just get to talk constantly. Just waffle, pure yapping, but I do sometimes want to just keep it shorter. But I think this is a fight that calls for it. The pay-per-view main events, I think, are suitable to do those extended predictions. So I might have one of those, but thanks for watching, guys. Like the video or Dricus du Plessis is going to kiss you. Subscribe, otherwise you have to listen to Michael Malott giving a motivational speech for an hour. Comment your predictions to the fights. I want to know who you guys are picking. Let me know if you agree with my picks. Follow my Instagram, Left Lane MMA, or else Pena versus Nunes. So Pena versus Bueno Silva is going to be a pay-per-view main event. Dana's in contact with me. Also, if you guys wanted to subscribe to my Patreon to support the channel, since my channel is not monetized, help me get a little bit of money from YouTube, that would be greatly appreciated and you will be featured at the end of the videos. But yeah, you'll get access to exclusive content too. Let me know what you guys want over there and I'll provide the content that needs to be seen, but not that kind of content. But link in description and the pinned comment for that if you do want to support the channel. But that's everything, guys. I got a Sean Strickland mini documentary coming soon. I need to start working on that and really get that done. But videos coming soon. If there's fight announcements, I'll break those. I'll talk about those. I'm probably going to do a press conference reaction video because I imagine we're going to get a good press conference. Any other kind of big stories or incidents that go down during the week, I'll have covered. But Strickland mini documentary coming next, unless duty calls for a more urgent matter. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy.